All right, ladies and gentlemen, welcome to the Battle Hymnal. I'm Nathan Lawrence, proprietor and co-host of the Chapel Bell Curve podcast, and I'm joined by my Battle Hymnal co-host, Josh Hancher of Dog_Stats over on Twitter, Statsman extraordinaire and video producer, and just lovely technical human, and Graham Coffey, who is a writer extraordinaire over on Dog Sports, and who is just also an amazing human. So, today we are here to do some Arkansas film review. There are a lot of, before we get in, I do want to make one note here. There are a lot of kind of systemic questions about where Georgia's offense is right now. And certainly I think we might get into that, but I think the real focus of the show is going to be what did we see schematically and what did we see from just sort of an offensive install standpoint that we find to be interesting and or different. And I think this is, and Graham, correct me if I'm wrong, to me this feels like it is definitely going to be sort of a first draft follow-up of what we did in our Todd Monken piece.
Yeah, absolutely. I think there's some things that we identified as concepts that Monken is going to want to employ, and we're going to look at a little bit of how he did that, and also talk about what that means, I think, for the rest of Georgia's football season.
Yeah, absolutely.
The first thing I noticed was that Georgia was middle of the pack SEC rush rate at just over 44%, which is a complete flip. And those fall in line with what Monken was doing at Southern Miss. So they passed the ball a lot.
Yeah, and I think you saw definitely some very clear signs of Monken having some real independence in this offense. So can you pull up play 44 for me? So this is, we need to mute Justin. Boop, got it. Play 44.
Yep.
So this is a completion on the 2-minute drive before the half from Stetson Bennett to Darnell Washington. First, I think we should all just salivate about what Darnell Washington looks like in this offense, the Big O.
The Big O, baby.
I think this was his only catch on the day, but I think it's really exemplary of his
Fat fingers, maybe.
I don't know. I mean,
There we go. We're back now.
Okay. I think we lost audio there for a second, but hopefully I think it's back now. So, like I was saying, let me see if I can roll this back for a second here. This, you can call this a skinny post. You can call this a tight end seam. It's probably closer to a post than a seam because he kind of bends it up to the opposite hash here. That this is sort of a staple of a sort of like 4-vert, air raid, whatever offense, but it's also a way that you beat zone. And you can see here they have their inside linebacker zoning out onto Darnell Washington and then passing him off to the safety. And there's just a big crease in that zone defense. And you're going to see this a lot. Obviously, they're in quarters here because this is right before the half, but people have been running this sort of like pass off zone on Georgia a lot because it lets you put 9 people in the box against the run. And this is the first thing I saw on the day that I was like, that's a heartening play concept that makes me feel better about what Monken is doing schematically, like outside of execution. I said before I thought that we were going to have problems. I didn't think they were going to be that crazy, but I knew we were going to have problems executing. The really thing I wanted to see was what we were doing schematically, and I think that was like the first play that I was like, oh look, that was a good idea, and we did it right. Like,
well, I think looking, it was hard in the first 5 or 6 drives of the game when everything was happening with Mathis the way it was, just because like it was really hard to focus on anything other than what was going on with him, just because things felt really like panicked and erratic, and it was hard to take your eyes off of him. But if what I saw even in those first 6 drives of the game was like, as far as our passing tree and our route concepts, like Georgia was trying to do a lot of different things than what they've done thus far in the Kirby Smart era. It's just hard to see that when like the ball's not getting thrown to those places, or guys aren't getting open, or the offensive line isn't pass blocking. But I feel like Georgia was trying to do a different type of offense from the start of the game. It's just there wasn't the execution.
Right. Well, do you have a play that you another passing play? Because I have some other plays, but most of them are running. So do you want to have him pull one up for us?
Yeah, I would like to look at play 70.
He's like, there we go.
Yeah, so this is a 3rd and 10, and this was kind of like my aha moment with Stetson Bennett on the day. But Mattlanders, basically very similar route to what we saw with Washington, just kind of that, he ran a streak for about 15 yards and then cut it into the inside in between those 2 guys that were sitting in the zone. It was about 22-yard gain. But
the number 1 explosive play of the whole game, believe it or not.
Yeah, number 1 explosive play of the whole game. There's a lot here. There's that. There is Mattlanders making a really great catch in traffic, which, he was much maligned last year, and he had a couple nice catches yesterday. It's a perfect ball.
Will you roll it back one more time, Josh? Because there's
Sure.
one more thing I really love about this.
Yeah.
No, go ahead. Finish your thought.
Well, I mean, I think like we don't know what's going to happen with the Georgia quarterback situation. We don't know if JT Daniels is going to get cleared. We don't know if Mathis is going to start again next week. But like that throw right there is a very high level throw. Like that is that is not a throw that you would expect a 2-star walk on to make. And so if he's capable of delivering it, and like there's a lot of arm strength shown in that throw, because he dips it right over number 1 there.
Absolutely.
So
can you
encouraging to see Georgia's offense do that, because I think it was last year there was a long stretch, right, where we didn't have a pass play over 10 yards or 15 yards for 4 or 5 games.
That's the multiple. I mean, like 15 yards down past the line of scrimmage. Those are the plays. Yeah, we did not do at all, and that's what LSU and a lot of the high-powered offenses.
Well,
did. Nathan, what are you going to say about it? Here we go.
Will you just pause it like right after the snap here?
Sure.
And we don't have to illustrate this or whatever, but I think there's something really smart about this. So you're going to have 4 guys rushing and then 6 guys just generally in the box playing, probably for the like flat route. So you've got a weak side rush from the linebacker, or a strong side rush from the linebacker in the A gap. And then you see 27 goes into zone here. But the real thing that makes this play happen is Fitzpatrick chips. And then when he goes out into that little dig route, he pulls that inside linebacker and he pulls the safety on top. And so that opens out to fit it in a window. If this safety, I guess this is number 1, if he drops there, or I guess that's probably a linebacker. If he drops there, then there's no way that throw is completed. But the actual design of the play was such that like this is something that we didn't see really happen in play design at Georgia last year. Either that or it just wasn't executed well enough. Is like plays that sort of like build off of themselves, right? And that's actually a good transition.
And that was a good catch by you, Nathan, by the way.
What?
But I know that I write, for my little stats blog for Bulldog Illustrated, I think it's just it's a different audience, and I think sometimes read the comments on Lutarski's, when we put this stuff up there, some of them get frustrated with all these numbers and damn lies and statistics. But it's interesting though that was the most explosive play, more so than the catch to Pickens for a touchdown, and it's because If you look at explosive plays, where you get into scoring positions is inside the 40, your opponent's 40. That play was a 3rd and 10 in the middle of the field for a conversion. So that's the plays that Georgia has not had in years past, and that was a great play, for all of those reasons. I mean, it's just a huge play, and it's just, as struggling as our offense was on Saturday, it was we have a lot there's a lot there. I mean, and that's with our what a lot of people would have thought was our 3rd or 4th string quarterback making that throw. So I'm pretty excited. I mean, I'm going to be half full on this.
Well, here, let me. Whose phone was that?
Sorry, that was my phone.
Can I get can we do 2 plays back to back here? I want to talk about something running wise. Can we look at 55 and 56? Let's look at 55 first.
That's a definite maybe on my capabilities. 55.
Yeah, pull me 55. So this is very basic. We've got 2 running backs in the back, and we're going to almost run like it almost looks like an option sort of concept where you have a lead blocker with Cook, and then we run sort of like the naked quarterback keep off the back side of this. And so we are setting this up so that Cook is going to lead block. He's going to give it to White, and then you can see he's reading this D end who crashes down. And the thing that I am really heartened about this is that that's a read action. He's got a hard fake step, and then Stetson just takes it for 9 yards. That is a zone read action where the quarterback actually kept it, which, one, that makes me borderline aroused. 2, this is a very smart play because let's look at 56. So this is 1st and 10 from about the middle of the field. We get, I think, 8 yards off of this play. Right now, watch this. We do the exact same thing, or it's a little bit window dressing differently, right? Where we have a hard step. And then at that point, 56, who is the same guy that we went to the play before, he takes half a step to go after Bennett. And if you watch this left defensive end here, he reads Bennett, and there's a half step of hesitation, and his body gets turned the wrong way. See, like he's looking at Bennett, and then he looks back in, just loses time because of the chip block from Pickens, right? We talked about how James Coley didn't ever counterpunch. That is a literal 2-play counterpunch. You set a guy up. 56 is on the field for both of those plays. He now has it in his head that Bennett will keep the ball, and there's a half-second step. And when you have a guy like Zamir White, you get 23 yards on the ground off that instead of, he's running through traffic the whole time. It's not like there's a giant hole. It's just that, Monken set up the tendency to pull that defensive end to get him to crash so that the next time he did it, that when Zamir kept it, that we would have a better result. And I think those 2 plays together. I don't know how this year is going to turn out. We very well could lose 2 or 3 games if we don't have the good quarterback play, or just we have a hard schedule. But I feel really good about where Monken is going to have us, especially next year.
Right. And I also think, too, it's like this is not stuff that is revolutionary in college football, but like we saw this in 2005 at the Sugar Bowl when we played West Virginia. Like Rich Rodriguez invented a lot of these concepts with the zone read with the quarterback, but just the fact that like we're keeping defenses honest instead of basically telegraphing what each play is going to be when we come to the line of scrimmage. Like there was no point yesterday where I was like, oh, like this is very clearly going here on this play. And, the entire world knew it. And that's such a step forward for Georgia and such a like massive difference that it's really exciting. And yeah, like the game yesterday did not go, I think, how any of us thought it would from the start, but our backup quarterback came in and let us.
Yeah, I'm actually showing I'm sorry to interrupt. I just want to touch on because I got the graphic up there in my blog post for Bulldog Illustrated. We had pretty. With Stetson Bennett, we were in line with the winning SEC teams. We had a 50% success rate. Total EPA was 15.16. EPA average per play with Bennett was 3.10. Explosiveness was 1.362. Those numbers are all really good, especially when you're shifting gears. So on an offense, we were ready to come in and fix it. So I don't know if DeJuan's going to be the guy going forward, if they can get him straightened out. But we saw an offense that was more explosive, and just more efficient with Monken, with Stetson Bennett running. So I think there's a lot to be excited about, even though that was not anything what anybody expected with the slow start and not seeing and seeing Stetson Bennett come on the field in the first half.
So hey, yeah, actually, can you pull 64 for me? Because I think you make a good point there where like I actually think Bennett, and I think we showed with that Mattlanders play that like Bennett makes some good plays. Is this 64?
I think so.
Okay, hold on. Let's see. Let me
pull 63.
Yeah, pull 63. Yeah, it's one back. I'm sorry. So this is a failed bomb to Pickens. No, 63. Okay, so this is a very cool play.
Yeah.
So here's the thing. This play, I really like it. We have who is 7? Jermaine Burton. He's just going to run. We have sort of a little mini rub route here, right? It depends on what you want to call it. Puts 2 cornerbacks in conflict or whatever, where they have to sort of space each other out. You just get a little bit of space there for Burton. But if you see like at the snap, if you just want to keep it paused here for a second, 86, Fitzpatrick has a linebacker on him straight up. It looks like we got another linebacker back here who's gonna take Fitzpatrick, and then you got a cornerback on Burton. And if you look at Bennett's head at the snap, he only really reads half of the field, because if you just count numbers, like he's probably, especially when he has this middle linebacker creep up, he's got man-to-man on one of those guys, right? And so just Fitzpatrick just sort of sitting down in there, stutter stepping, just sort of puts that linebacker a little bit in the way
clean pocket too.
Yeah, a little bit in the way of the cornerback, and it's just like a half step, and that's all that you should need when you have good playmakers. And like just stuff like that. Like that is not a revolutionary play. There's nothing new about it. It's been around for 15 years. But that area of the field was a place that Georgia really, anything inside of the 25, Georgia just would shut down last year. And especially when we were on 2nd and 8 and longer. And I think that was a 2nd and 10 right there. But that is just an easy yards play that puts us in the ability, it puts us in the place to score. And actually, I would love to see the score after that one. Is it 65 or 64 was the next? What happened after that play? I wanted to see the Fitzpatrick. What's the number for the Fitzpatrick touchdown?
64. Here we go.
Okay. Yeah. So this is a classic air raid concept. So if you look to the right, you got 3 guys out there. We're going to run 2 digs and then like kind of a I guess end zone post sort of to the back pylon. And since Bennett looks pre-snap, he sees he's got 3 guys out here. He's got 4 guys over here, right? Depending on who on the left side, depending on who stays in. He knows he only has to read the right side here, right? And he knows he's got 2 digs. So as long as Burton clears that guy out, Patrick is
right there. That's the last day right there. He's clearing him out, and that leaves the underneath for
and Fitzpatrick ran a really good route there. He got inside leverage on his guy, and as soon as I don't know, I guess that's a safety, probably started to backpedal to give Burton a little bit of a cushion like that. The thing about that play that I like is like you score a touchdown on that play 80% of the time with that coverage if you just throw the right ball, right? Yeah. And pre-snap, the alignment was such he only had to read half the field, right? He knew where the ball was going pretty much at the snap as soon as that safety took a step or 2 back. And those are the kinds of plays that Georgia just didn't have. Like that's cheap yardage, right? That play is high success. Most quarterbacks at the collegiate level can throw it. And those were just not plays that we saw. Like a back shoulder throw to George Pickens looks really good, but it's hard to throw. A dig on an 8-yard touchdown, that's not a hard pass to throw for a good quarterback.
Well, and I think the other thing 2 points that I want to make. One, and this goes back to the work that you and I did in the offseason, Nathan. First of all, like Monken, you're seeing a little bit already with the wide receivers, even though some of these guys that are playing are true freshmen, like the understanding of kind of how to use their bodies and how to run routes where there is just that split second of hesitation for the guys in coverage that, it's like, oh, it's a human instinct of if it feels like you're going to, run into someone else, especially if it's your teammate, there's that split second of hesitation. And that's really all the window that Georgia needs. The other thing too, is just that our receivers are getting open in one-on-one situations and they are beating that man coverage. And that didn't happen a lot last year. But on that Fitzpatrick touchdown, that's really more than likely an option route where it's kind of just a two-man game between Fitzpatrick and Stetson Bennett, and it's on those two guys to sit there and make that decision. And whatever Fitzpatrick decides is open, which in that case was sort of that little stick route, little, out route, whatever you want to call it. Like, that was just a moment between two guys playing football. And that simplifies things so much from the quarterback position to read one receiver on one defender instead of trying to get through 3 or 4 progressions and get downfield.
See, and this is the thing. This is a great play to pull up, Josh, because one of the things that's always infuriated me is like, because Georgia loves to run the ball, Georgia's receivers play with like 5-yard cushions a lot of the time.
Yeah.
And if you see, like, this play is so simple. And if you look at the rest of the receivers, like Darnell Washington very, very easily scores there if he gets the ball. Like, I mean, he comes in on that same little sort of like, I guess, deep post or like deep slant kind of thing that he's running. And he's got 2 steps on his guy. And the guy who's covering him is like 20 pounds lighter than him. There's no way he doesn't score there. And so, like, great individual effort from Pickens, but like multiple people on that play, wide ass open, right? And like, when you have trained defenses, which for worse and better we have over the past 2 years, to think that you will always run, like, you're gonna get wide ass open dudes if you have the right concepts. Is this is this the next play there, Josh?
Yeah, this is. You wanted to talk about this, right, Graham?
Yeah, I do want to touch on something with that Pickens route real quick, though, is that, it speaks a lot about tendencies, in that what you normally see in college football, especially in a situation where you have a backup quarterback in the game, is if you have a big negative play like Georgia had on first down, you are going to find, the offense is going to try and get a 5 to 8 yard chunk to make it third and a little bit more manageable on 3rd and goal. And so instead of doing that, Monken went for the jugular and ran, everybody on the screen there, all of our receivers are running deep.
I mean, that's basically 4 verts. Like, yeah. You could call it one thing or the other, but
that is 2nd and 26 right there. Instead of, when Georgia got caught thinking, okay, they're going to try and get back in field goal range, Alabama went for a touchdown. And that's what Georgia did to Arkansas in that situation. And that aggression is really, really exciting.
Oh, hell yeah. I'm all jacked up. I mean, I feel so much better. This is like cathartic. I mean, I hope folks are watching this and feel better offense, because we're half full. We could rename this the Half Full Arkansas podcast.
Well, actually, I do want to talk about one. Can we get one more play here before we go on?
But Graham, you want to go right into this? But we'll get to the
point real quick.
The 2 extra points. Here we go.
Yeah. This is a beautiful play design.
We're doing so well. This is like so much fun for me.
What was interesting is, I don't know if you guys watched Stetson Bennett's media availability after the game last night, but basically you see him check here, and he made what he called the wrong check on this play. You see Cook go out and he gets covered. And so, this was a great individual effort by Stetson Bennett. And the reason I wanted to watch this play is A, just how much a mobile quarterback changes the game, but B, look at the reaction of everybody on Georgia's team when he hits the pylon with that ball.
Is this right after he did the Roddy bump?
It was right after.
Right. I mean, right after this, right?
Yeah.
I'm sorry, you want me to have that ready for you, and I'm sorry I didn't have it ready, but I'm sure
you're good. It's just, I think it's one of those things, like, yes, we're talking about schematic stuff, and there is a lot to unpack there, but football is also an emotional game. And
they were fired up, ready to play for Stetson, dude.
That's awesome. Exactly. He got his shot yesterday, and those guys came in and they played hard for him, and they were clearly happy for him.
Can you run that play one more time, actually?
Yeah.
So the thing about the play, the reason he made the wrong call here is, if you look at pre-snap numbers on the weak side of the formation, he's only got 2 dudes. So if he doesn't send White in motion there, and if White just runs like an out to the opposite flat, he can probably just walk that in. because it's just going to be one-on-one. But he pulls 31 over, who almost gets him here.
That's Cook.
Cook, not Cook. Yeah, Cook. But if Cook just runs an out to the opposite side and they run sort of like one of those sort of, if the play is exactly the same, but Cook is on the other side of the formation, that is an easy walk at 2 points, which I think was sort of the point, which is why he was saying that was the wrong check, because like one of the big things about air raid offenses is like a lot of the pre-snap checks are just counting dudes. Just count the cornerbacks and where they are. And if you can, and you know where you have a man advantage, then you're usually fine. Can we pull up 77, which is White's touchdown there?
And while you're pulling that up, I do want to kind of piggyback off of your point there, Nathan. There's good news and there's bad news there. The good news is that a guy like Stetson Bennett, who the coaches have all said did not really get reps in scrimmages, has not had a ton of reps in practices, can come in, and this offense is probably similar to what he ran in JUCO ball at Jones County in Mississippi, because all those schools run these kind of wide open spread offenses. But it's really that simple for a quarterback to step into. There's not that level of complication. The bad news there is that whatever happened yesterday with Dwan Mathis, it didn't look simple while he was on the field. And so that is something they're going to have to get cleaned up if he is going to be someone that's playing consistent snaps for Georgia the rest of the year.
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, I had some, I can't remember, it was maybe the Michigan analytics guy. He just said he didn't look the same after, after he got hit, and he pulled up a bunch of times. I mean, it's possible. I mean, dude had major brain surgery and he got creamed early in the game. So I can
probably should have been a targeting, by the way.
Yeah.
I mean, not that I'm bitching about that, but
even if it wasn't targeting, I mean, it was in his head, and so, I mean, he's a kid. I hope he comes back. I'm cheering for him hard. What was the last play we're going to do this before we kick over to Discord? Somebody's got one.
So I just want to talk real quick is lots of Matt Luke pulling in this game. Didn't work a lot of the time. I think we saw that, a couple of bad snaps from, who was the first guy playing center?
Trey Hill.
Yeah, Trey Hill. I think Trey Hill might have too much of an ass to play center. Like he was just like, no, seriously, like on both of his bad snaps, he bounced the ball off of his ass. And it's like, but I think he's a really good offensive lineman. I think,
dude, he lives in your hometown, bro. I don't know if you want to say that.
No, I mean, look, let's be clear. Like Trey Hill could whip my ass.
It's okay.
Yeah. Trey Hill could whip my ass, and there's nothing wrong with that, and that's fine. I'm not claiming to want to fight him. I just think maybe like positionally, he's probably a very good athletic guard. I don't know if he's a center. But what I noticed is that lots of pulling, and a lot of times that pulling just didn't work. But I want to play 77, and I think this is Zamir White's touchdown. And if you will just like pause it after like 3 or 4 frames, I think this is Zamir White's touchdown. Yeah. So something that happens here, or here, let the play snap. This play sort of fails, but I think that we see, okay, so right guard here is going to sort of get beat on the inside, right? Or sorry, the left tackle is going to beat on the inside. But I think we're seeing the advantage here with Sawyer of him losing weight and having a little bit more of being a little bit more athletic, because what he does there is just sort of like chip the guy out of the play who's about to make the play in the backfield, right? He gets beat, turns, and then he just like gives him one shove, and that's all you need, right? And then we jump cut in. And if you look at the right guard here, what he does at the snap is like that play was actually originally, I think, designed to go between right guard and right tackle, because the guy playing right guard there just destroyed his man off the front. And I think the pull schemes did not always work, but I think we saw dividends like on that play of having a slightly more athletic, slightly more rangy, or slightly more mobile offensive line, which is that when you're working with these plays with complicated blocking schemes, right? Because we have a tight chip block from a receiver. We have an inside reach block from the guard. And then I think that was supposed to be like a seal block to the outside. So Sawyer let the guy get an outside step on him because he was supposed to seal him off. He just got past him. But the advantage is when you're running these really complicated schemes, that if you have more athleticism, that extra second or two, that extra little bump or chip can give you the hole that you need. And I think to me, that was the kind of theme with the offense on the day, which is that a lot of it didn't work. And maybe that was DeJuan Mathis. Maybe that was, I mean, probably DeJuan Mathis was not helped that the whole offense had fewer yards in the first quarter than penalty plays, right? And so I don't know whose fault it was, but I think the theme was Monken's offense is designed that if you get a step, if you get a chip, if you get an angle, if you get a little bit of space, you're going to have success. And I think what we saw is when UGA didn't even play clean in the second half, but when they just started playing just a little above average, we had success, right? And that actually makes me feel good going forward this year.
Well, and I think big picture wise, there was a lot of substitutions made on the offensive line between the first half and the second half. And Warren Erickson came over to play center. Xavier Truss got pulled out of the ball game, who I believe was playing right tackle to start. So, I think there's a lot of talent, obviously, that has been recruited to Georgia's offensive line. And the reality is some guys are just not practice players. And then there's some guys that are great in practice and the light comes on and they shit the bed a little bit. And so it's going to be a process to find the rotation on the offensive line. It's going to be a process to find the rotation at wide receiver. The interception that Mathis threw, that was not his fault. That was an option route against zone coverage, and Jermaine Burton read it like it was man coverage, and Mathis threw the ball behind him.
If Jermaine Burton runs, I think he's supposed to run like a post there, and if he runs that post, it might be a touchdown. Because he had 5 yards on the guy. I mean, if he caught the ball, it would have been fine.
Yeah, all right, Nathan, let's send us into Discord because I think we got some more to say, but we're gonna continue in Discord. So let's invite the crew. Anyone on this, tell them what to do, Nathan.
So if you like what you heard here and you want to hear more and you want to be part of what I think is a really awesome, fun, growing community, you can hit us up on Patreon at patreon.com/Chapel Bell Curve. We are currently at somewhere around $330 per month. And that is good news for everyone because we are donating all of the proceeds of our Discords minus, operating cost and paying for stuff to the Dogs for Pups initiative, which is run through the I think it is run through the Athens Enhancement. I forget what the name of it is, but anyway, Dogs for Puffs is an initiative that is a student-led, football team-led charity that is helping students in Clark County who are still at home because of COVID. It provided a bunch of Wi-Fi hotspots for a bunch of different families. It's been providing snacks and supplemental food for families that have food insecurity. So we're really excited to give. Should be somewhere around between $250 and $300 this month to that charity at the end of the month. If you would like to be a part of that, but also have an opportunity to watch us live record and watch our pre-production meetings and have a live watch party and play a bunch of dumb video games, which we have been doing quite a bit of, we'd love to have you. Go ahead and sign up. If you sign up right now, you will automatically get an invite to the Discord and you can join us in our Discord watch party as we speak. So we will catch you. This will be playing again on the Chapel Bell Curve feed tomorrow. We will have a tailgate show with maybe some video, ? On Friday for the Auburn game. We will be releasing Wednesday morning our Auburn Week episode from on Chapel Bell Curve, and we will catch you in the Classic City. But until then, go Dogs.